So thanks for sticking around for an orientation. The reopening committee has kept fully informed of both the Centers for Disease Control and the Rhode Island Department of Health recommendations and their guidelines and restrictions, and decisions about when to return to the meeting house have been a joint effort between the reopening committee, the Board of Deacons, and the Church Council. So there have been multiple layers of accountability in those decisions. The staff has provided support and programming assistance, but we have not had a vote in the church's reopening decisions. So just so that you know what's behind all of the rules and regs I'm about to share with you. So beginning next Sunday, we will have hybrid worship. You can join us in person, or you can join us for a live stream through our church's YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel will be on the website in the virtual worship box. It's on the main website page. You're going to scroll down about halfway down the page. You'll see a box that says virtual worship, and you can click on that for more information. The link to the YouTube channel is not yet live, but it will be by next Sunday. So I'm going to break this presentation down into 3 parts. Things to know before you arrive at the meeting house, things to know after you arrive at the meeting house, and things to know after worship is over. And there's going to be time for questions, but I'm going to ask you to hold your questions until the very end. So before you arrive at the meeting house, worship will be at 10 a.m. Sunday mornings as always. Be aware that Chestnut Street, which runs between Beneficent Church and Beneficent House, has been changed. Half of it is now a bike lane, and there is no parking on Chestnut Street. So plan ahead when you arrive. The question was asked, do you need to be fully vaccinated to enter the meeting house? We hope you are, but we will not be checking or asking. So we hope you are, but you're not going to have to show your card. Do you need to have proof of a negative COVID test to enter the meeting house? No, but if you have been exposed or had symptoms in the past 10 days, please don't come. We need to trust one another and keep everyone safe. So to repeat this, we are not policing vaccination status or testing status. We expect everyone to be responsible and keep everyone safe. You must bring a mask. We will have disposables if you forget, but masks must be worn continuously inside the meeting house from the moment you enter until the moment you leave. I'll talk more about masks in a minute, but from the moment you enter the building until the moment you leave, and then we recommend that if you're going to be milling around and greeting everyone, you want to keep that mask on, but definitely in the meeting house. Another thing you might want to bring is a seat cushion. All the red pew cushions have been removed from the meeting house because they were very old. They were stuffed with straw and other deteriorating materials, probably full of dust mites, possibly urine stained, and impossible to clean and to keep disinfected for COVID. So to be on the safe side, we have taken all of those cushions out and discarded them. If you feel that the bare wooden pew is going to be uncomfortable for you, please bring your own seat cushion and take it home with you after each worship service. There will be no storing of seat cushions in the meeting house. You might want to keep that in your car. Will we replace the upholstered pew cushions someday? Yes, that's our hope when it's safe again and we have the funds to purchase custom-made cushions. Another thing to know before you arrive is nursery care will be available starting next Sunday. Both adults present in the nursery will be fully vaccinated, and they will wear masks and disinfect their hands frequently. So things to know when you arrive at the meeting house. When you arrive next Sunday, the usual doors will be open, the big doors in front of the church and the door by the elevator. Just walk on in with your mask. There will be ushers at those entrances carrying out COVID safety protocols, and these will include asking you some of those standard questions like, have you been exposed? Have you had symptoms? They will be handing out masks if you've forgotten yours. They will be showing you where the hand sanitizer is and where the bulletins are. So inside each entrance, there will be a welcome table with bulletins stacked on it. And the bulletins will not be handed out by the ushers because we're trying to limit the shared contact of stuff. So more about the bulletins in a minute. What else is going to be on the welcome tables? There will be hand sanitizer. There will be some boxes of tissues and anything else that we need to have there for you to pick up. Every other pew in the meeting house has been roped off to encourage people to space themselves out. Otherwise, there are not going to be any dots on the pews that say sit here, don't sit here, because it's really hard to anticipate spacing when some people are going to be sitting as singles and others will be sitting as families. So when you come into the meeting house and you pick up your bulletin from the table, you're going to find your own spot to sit, 6 feet apart if possible, unless you're from the same household. Now, bear in mind, there is no seating in the balcony. It's not safe up there because there are no balcony railings, and there are ropes at those entrances to the balcony, just as there always have been, to remind you not to go up there. So let's say you take a seat in the meeting house and it begins to get a little more crowded. And what if someone sits down nearby and you feel they're too close? So bear in mind, everybody has a different comfort level. And if you feel they are too close, you should get up and move. Obviously, if you have mobility issues, just ask them nicely to move a little farther away. But you take the initiative to put yourself a place that feels comfortable. By the same token, if you sit down and someone looks around and gets up and makes more distance, please don't be offended. This is going to be a dance. And we just need to be gracious and understand everybody has a different sense of distancing and safety. So in summary, if someone sits too close for your comfort, you get up and move to a less crowded part of the meeting house. What will be in the pew with you? There's going to be a bottle of hand sanitizer. There will be no boxes of Kleenex. Please bring your own. Again, we want to limit the sharing of stuff. So if you have a Kleenex emergency during the worship, there are going to be those boxes of Kleenex on the welcome tables, but we're keeping them out of the pews for now. The hymnals and Bibles have been removed from the pew racks. Again, we're trying to limit the sharing of stuff. All the hymns will be printed in the bulletins, just as they have been for Zoom worship. What will not be printed in the bulletin is the announcements. I don't know if you've noticed on our Zoom bulletins, but those announcements go on for pages and pages, and we are concerned about paper waste. We're trying to be environmentally responsible. So how will you get your announcements? There are 3 ways. First, there will be a QR code in the bulletin that you can read with your cell phone. It will take you to announcements. If you know what a QR code is, you know how to use one. If you don't know what a QR code is, there's another way. The announcements will also be printed out on big 11 by 17 inch sheets that are going to be posted on easels at each entrance. So if the sermon is boring, you can go read the announcements. We will also print a limited number of announcement handouts each Sunday, and those will be available at the welcome tables for folks to take home with them. Now, we encourage our tech-savvy members to leave those for our not-so-tech-savvy members. We will sort of track from week to week how many of these get taken home and adjust our printing up or down. But the goal is to print as few as possible to be environmentally responsible. And as time goes on, we might find even more creative ways to share announcements. We're certainly not going to read them all in worship, but we'll just kind of evolve as we go along. So let's talk about masks again. Everyone wears a mask the entire time you are in the meeting house. Exceptions are children under 2 years of age and a person who cannot safely wear a mask because of a disability as defined by the Americans with Disabilities Act. And if you're one of those persons, we will make reasonable accommodations such as seating you in a section all by yourself to keep you safe. Again, we will have disposable masks available if you have forgotten yours. And there's another exception to the mask policy. Anyone who is speaking at the pulpit or the lectern down on the floor, like leading the words of gathering or reading scripture or preaching or praying, they will remove their masks so as to be understood. We will have plenty of space between the pulpit and the lectern and the congregation. And if it makes you nervous that the speaker is not wearing a mask, please just sit farther back. Do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. We have learned by experience that even with a microphone, the mask makes it very hard to be understood. Will the choir wear masks? Yes, they will, or I think they're looking into clear face shields. The choir will be seated in the old choir loft behind the pulpit and between the pulpit and the organ pipes. There is enough room up there to enable them to spread out and be safe. And that way they are not directly beneath the pulpit on the receiving end of the preacher's droplets. Ernest will be directing the choir, wearing a mask up in the choir loft with a keyboard. And the choir, by the way, will rehearse as usual in the music room on Thursday evenings. Can the congregation sing? Yes, please sing. Sing loudly as you want, but always wear your mask when you're singing. Wear that mask all the time. The deacon of the day will lead the words of gathering and sharing of the peace from the lectern on the floor of the meeting house. And as soon as they step away, an usher will disinfect that lectern and the microphone before another person uses it. Then a youth or a young adult will read the scripture or lead the offering sequence. And as soon as they step away, the lectern and microphone get disinfected. Same thing with the children's moment with a hand mic, that mic is going to get disinfected. So anytime anyone uses a microphone or the lectern, they will be disinfected by the ushers, and they will also be disinfecting those push bars on the doors and the doorknobs. And Pastor Germain and I will disinfect the pulpit after each use. So we're going to have some special canisters of wipes for that. Please do not take those wipes for your personal use. They are costly, so please use the hand sanitizer instead. So the sharing of the peace, it's one of my favorite parts of worship and beneficent, and it's going to be different for a while. The peace of Christ be with you and also with you, and then we're going to stay in our places. Brother Ernest will still play some jazzy music, but for now there will be no walking around. I know I'm going to miss it too. Someday it will be safe to walk around again, but for now, no, stay in your pew, wave to one another, gesture the peace, call out to one another, but no handshaking, no fist bumping. At most, you can bump elbows if you'd like. When you enter the meeting house, please do not walk toward one another for that big full body hug. If you come toward me with your arms spread out, I'm going to offer you my elbow and just give you a lot of love. Please don't have your feelings hurt. This is how we're going to keep one another safe and show our Christian love until it's safe to hug again. So what happens during prayer? Also, one of my favorite parts of worship, the walking around, the lighting of the votive candles, the posting of prayer concerns on the prayer tree, all in good time. For now, we will remain seated in our pews. Pastor Germain will pray his wonderful prayers from the lectern, and we will take in all of that blessing, but we'll stay seated in our pews. Does this mean that you can never leave the pew? No, You can get up, walk around on your own, go use the restroom. It's just that we won't be having large numbers of people circulating around at the same time for now. What happens with the offering? We will still call for the offering. We'll listen to the offertory music and dedicate the offering with a prayer, but we will not pass offering plates. Again, we're trying to limit the number of things that we share. After worship is over, you can drop your offering into an offering plate that will be attended by an usher near the exits. You'll drop your offering into the plate as you leave, or you can always make your offering using Realm or by clicking on the link on the website or by mailing your check, just as we always have. Will we continue to have shared media at the end of worship, the YouTube videos? Well, not for now. We'll have a closing hymn just like we used to. Someday, we may decide to install a Jumbotron and stadium speakers and have the YouTube videos again, but not for now. I will personally miss them. They have really meant a lot to me, and others have told me the same thing. So let's see if we grow in that direction. Now, what happens after worship? We sing our final hymn. Whoever preached the sermon is going to stand in front of the communion table and give a benediction, and then walk to the back of the meeting house while Brother Ernest plays a postlude. And then what? You get up from your pew and you leave the meeting house as distanced as you can. We will all go directly outside. Some folks are going to leave by the elevator, and whichever pastor didn't preach will greet them as they leave. Again, waves, elbow bumps, gestures of love, and outside, we will mingle a little on the steps and on the sidewalk. We'll share some fellowship and some chit chat, and then we all will leave. For the first few months, we are not going to be holding fellowship hour in the Round Top Center. We are not going to be serving food. That is a lot more complicated, and it involves a whole lot of other restrictions, and we're just not going to try to do it at first. And also, we are going to be renovating our big kitchen next year, so we're not going to have any place to prepare food for a few months. So that plays into this as well. And for the first few months, we will not be celebrating Holy Communion inside the meeting house. Again, it involves food preparation, and we just can't do that at first. However, on the first Sunday of each month, after worship, if you would like to gather in Abbott Park, weather permitting, we will have BYOC, bring your own communion. We will not be distributing bread and juice. Again, it's food preparation, but you can bring your own elements. And if you forgot your communion, you can run into the bodega and buy a cookie and a can of soda. It's all good. The Holy Spirit can work with pretty much anything. If there is interest, we will have a monthly communion service on Sunday afternoon by Zoom. Again, bring your own elements to your own table. So let us know if that's something that you would really like. If we have enough interest, Pastor Germain and I will make that happen. 3 other things for you to know. Will we be doing contact tracing? If someone reports to us that they have tested positive following a worship service, yes, we will get the word out through our social media that you may have been exposed. And every Sunday, we are going to be encouraging visitors to fill out one of those yellow visitor cards. So that's how we can contact them. What about Bible study? It will be hybrid, with a group meeting at 9 a.m. in the meeting house and others joining by Zoom. And you can contact either John Felker or Kevin Nelson. They can tell you more about that. What about Sunday school? At first, we're going to have 2 classes that will be taught by Joshua Maria Garcia, our youth and young adult educator. The Explorer class for middle school youth will be taught during worship somewhere in the meeting house, maybe the social room. Encounter, the high school class, will be taught after the worship service. So please contact Joshua for more information. The CE committee is still seeking volunteers for preschool and elementary age classes. So those are not going to start right away, but if you want to see them start right away, you might consider letting it be known that you will volunteer. And as I said, nursery care will be provided by vaccinated adults, 2 of them. And we are in a search for a new director of Christian education. Okay, if you have questions, please put them in the chat or unmute yourself and say them out loud.
It's not a question, Pastor, but if there's someone who's really interested in learning how to stream, Michael Amantia is willing to help. He can't do every Sunday, so he'd like to have somebody at church that can fill in when he's not there.
Any other questions? Yes, Val. Nope. Carlos, you'll need to unmute yourself.
If there is, which there rarely is, but if there's an emergency, like somebody gets sick or something, is there going to be someone that is designated to take care of that individual, or how, has that been a thought?
Well, I think we would handle that like we would any other time. The COVID doesn't make that different. I think the ushers are the first line of contact, and they would assist the person to either be comfortable in their spot or take them to a place where they can be comfortable. And then we'll just, if someone needs CPR, we're trained, right? Okay. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Carlos?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can y'all? Okay, thanks. For the nursery, will that be from the beginning of church, or are kids going to go out as they used to? And are 3-year-olds wearing masks in the nursery?
3-year-olds should be wearing masks in the nursery. Yes. There will be a children's time, and then the littlest ones going into the nursery will leave at that time. So nursery care, or just nursery care, is available for the entire worship service. Let's put it that way. A few minutes before, a few minutes after. Does that answer your question, Val?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Harry has a question. With Chestnut Street parking eliminated, do you have any further suggestions regarding parking farther out? Yeah, farther out.
It looks like Mary Fitzell has her hand up.
Okay, in just a minute. So farther out is, parking is free on Sundays, but you're just going to have to walk a little farther. And, we always try to be careful about leaving enough spots in the parking lot for people who have mobility issues. Okay, Mary Fitzell, yes.
Hi, I know that there's going to be quite a few changes for ushers, and I'm wondering if there will be just an updated list of those things that we need to think about in writing available when we're doing ushering.
Yes, Paul Check is going to train the ushers. There will be 5 ushers every Sunday, and he is taking on the role of training them. So reach out to him. Ouija.
I have a question.
Ouija, I see Ouija next, and then I'll get to you in a minute, Jeanette.
Okay.
Can you unmute yourself, Ouija, or do you not have a question?
I do, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Will there be a section for people with no immune system to sit?
We could have a special section for people who are immunocompromised. That's a good idea. I'm guessing it will be one of the side sections.
Excellent.
So thank you for that thought. And I'm going to make a note about that.
It just dawned on me that, I trust everyone in the church, they'll be honest, vaccinated or not. But I'm sitting here thinking about, we're open to everyone.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure I can trust that. So if I just had a little area, I'd be thankful.
We will make it happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Jeanette, you had a question?
Yes, so the parking lot will not be available at
No,
all?
It is. It's
Oh,
available.
it is?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because you didn't mention it. I didn't know if it was closed or it was going to be rented out or anything, but the
No.
parking lot is available.
Always available Sunday mornings.
Okay.
Looks like Richard Partello has his hand up.
Go ahead, Richard. Did you have a question, Richard? I guess not. Any other questions?
One more question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, as far as, how in the front we have like a sign-in book, as far as going into are we going to know like who's there? Like, is somebody gonna take attendance? And this way, if there is a issue with contact tracing, we can see who was there on that Sunday. Just wondering about that.
So we stopped doing the signing in on the pew pads more than 2 years ago. We haven't taken attendance in the meeting house for a long, long time because we weren't doing anything with that information. What we'll do is we'll just put it out there through our social media that someone reported they tested positive for COVID, X number of days following worship. And then, like I said, we are going to encourage our visitors who may not be connected with our social media to, we have these little yellow cards in the pews that you can sign your name and give your contact information if you're a newcomer. And we're going to be encouraging them to do that because that will be the way we will reach them if we do need to do contact tracing.
So isn't anybody going to take at least a head count? Or
Well, the ushers do. They take down numbers, but not names.
not
haven't
numbers,
done
not
We haven't
names?
done that for a long time. Nope.
There are a few questions in the chat too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Richard, did you want to put your question in the chat and I can read it aloud?
Yeah, he did.
Parking on the side of the church in Abbott Park. Yes, that's always open. Looking ahead, would we be working on buying some extra pillows for visitors? I don't know. Let's see how it goes. We kind of don't want to be sharing stuff right now, but just bring a cushion if you want one. We'll just see. We'll play that by ear. Michael, did you have a question?
Looks like Gibson does.
Yeah, go ahead, Gibson.
Morning, everybody. Being mindful of things like, this is going to sound like a brief plug, but I promise it's not. It's a definite question. RPM is doing Kwanzaa celebration concerts on December 29th and 30th at Beneficent. And I'm sure that we are renting out the church space to other events. I don't know if, say, the Rhode Island Gay Men's Chorus is organizing for a holiday concert this year or not, but they're not. Okay, well, that's good to know.
They are having a concert, but not at
but not at Beneficent. Okay,
yeah,
that clears that up. But I anticipate that it may not just be RPM, but other groups either using the meeting house or using other space at Beneficent. Is there going to be uniform rules? Are people who book events there going to be running their own protocols by us? What's the story going to be on that?
That's a good question, Gibson, and I'm going to put that one to the reopening committee to decide. In general, we're not I mean, we have recommendations for the groups that are rehearsing now. And we do ask them to do certain kinds of disinfecting every time they rehearse, as you know, because you are there for those rehearsals. What we're going to do for concerts, I don't know. We'll figure that out. But thanks for bringing that up. Put it on my notebook. Other questions?
I have a question. For the nursery room, will they be disinfected so that toys and objects can be washed? Small children mouth a lot of things.
That's a really good question. And yes, we should have that in place for you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Let's see. Thank you, Anne. Richard suggests that, or might be Michael, groups should seek alternative parking nights of PPAC. Yeah, as always, we always try to keep that parking lot free for PPAC. Thank you, Michael.
Pastor
Noah?
Jessica,
Yes.
have a question. You sent out a little envelope of confetti or whatever to be used when we opened. Shall we bring that?
Yes, bring it and we'll throw it outside. It's biodegradable, everyone. So we're gonna
We
throw
can throw
it
it
out.
out.
We
Throw
can
it
throw it
outside.
outside after our first worship service. We'll
Okay,
just
all
celebrate.
right.
If you still
We'll
have
bring
it,
it. I still have it.
please bring
We
it.
still have it.
We will not have extra because that item was cut from our budget, but bring what was sent to you, however long ago that was. I can't even remember when it was.
Will there be wipes in the bathroom for people to clean up after themselves or clean upon entering the bathroom?
That's a good question, Linda. Let me put that down on our list of things to do. Wipes in the bathrooms. Well, I'm trying to think of any public bathroom I've been in the last 18 months. I haven't seen wipes, but you know what? We can see what we can put in there.
Yeah, because I don't remember having toilet seat covers. So
Here.
I would feel better if there were wipes in there.
Okay, other questions? Okay, you ready? Ready to go back?
Yes.
Very
Yes!
exciting, very
Yes.
All right. Well, there will be another orientation live at 5:30 on Tuesday. If you don't see someone here who should be there, please urge them to come at 5:30 on Tuesday. We will also post the recording of this on the website. Richard Bradley is going to do that for us sometime in the next couple of days. Bear in mind that Sunday morning at 9:55, I'm not going to have the bandwidth to answer 8 questions about, can you do this? Can you do that? Where do I sit? It's not going to happen. So it's really important that if someone isn't here that you know is planning to come back to the meeting house, please urge them either to watch the recording of this training or to attend the live training on Tuesday at 5:30. Super, super important because we want everyone to feel confident and to feel safe and to know what's expected. Okay. All right, everyone. Bless you. Have a wonderful Sabbath. And we'll see you a week from today.